Hey, it's Zane here and welcome back. Hope you're having a great day. Please remember to give the video a like. It helps to support the channel. I really appreciate that. And let's get me to 1,000 subscribers. I'm heading there, and I really appreciate all of your comments, support and encouragement. So I want to get into today's discussion, and today I really want to focus on the freedom aspect of Bitcoin and why Bitcoin represents more than just the ultimate store of value. And I think you would agree with me. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. But I believe that most people come to Bitcoin in the beginning because they're attracted to Bitcoin's compound annual growth rate. They can see that over the course of time, Bitcoin is the best performing asset on earth. And even though they may not understand it in the beginning, it's kind of the attractive initial proposition that draws people to Bitcoin. And then hopefully over time, and I know this is not true with everybody, but hopefully over time, as you start to understand what Bitcoin truly represents and the fact that it is more than just a growth monetary technology because it is fixed and finite, you begin to dive down all sorts of different rabbit holes, and you really begin to understand just how powerful this system is, just how powerful this monetary technology really truly is. And in fact, it's not even so much a technology and a network as it is a protocol. And we have to understand that when we buy into Bitcoin, when we buy a stack of Satoshis, or we buy a piece of Bitcoin, or we buy 1, 2, 3 Bitcoin, whatever it is that we ultimately end up with, we have to understand that we are buying into the new free market monetary system. And if you can imagine that back, 25, 30 years ago, if we had an opportunity to actually buy into the underlying internet protocol, the HTTPS protocol, just imagine if you and I were able to actually buy into that base layer protocol of the internet way back then, even though we didn't fully understand it, even though we didn't consider at the time that was going to transform the world and it was going to be a ubiquitous protocol or system that all of us would function on day to day, that we actually depended upon. We had no idea that we could shop online, that we would be communicating via Zoom, via email, like this on YouTube. We had no idea back then, but just imagine that we had the foresight back then and we had the opportunity to actually buy into the internet protocol, and we knew that for everything that was going to come down the pike and be built on top of that protocol in the years to come, we were going to benefit from that financially. This is what Bitcoin represents, and most people are completely oblivious to this. Most people are completely missing it. They still think that Bitcoin is like a stock or a share, but it is so far removed from that. We couldn't even begin to have that conversation in a video of this length. But the reality is, the more you learn about Bitcoin, the more you realize that it is far more than an investment. I think Bitcoin is the ultimate money. We know that it's the most fixed and finite form of money that humanity has ever seen. Even gold, we know, has a 2% inflation rate. We know that real estate, even though certain pieces of property are considered scarce and desirable, for example, beachfront property, they can't build any more of it. There's still an element of real estate that is inflationary in the sense that they can create more of it. And we see that in places like Dubai, where they can actually create new islands just to create more estates, more real estate and waterfront property. And so Bitcoin, you can't do that. Bitcoin is absolutely scarce. It is absolutely fixed. And it is absolutely finite. And so when you and I actually stake our claim, we are staking our claim for ourselves and our families for the future. We are giving ourselves the opportunity for multi-generational wealth. But we have to see the big picture. We have to be able to zoom out and be able to look at things from a 6,000 foot view and to really understand what is actually happening and how this transformative protocol, this transformative monetary technology, how it's actually repricing the world and all of the layers that are going to be built on top of Bitcoin. Do you think that BlackRock would be getting involved in Bitcoin if they weren't planning to financialize this asset? BlackRock wants your Bitcoin. They want your Bitcoin. They know, and they'll pay any price for it. They know that once they get their hands on this finite, scarce asset that they now understand, they're not giving it back. They're not giving it back. Do you think that once the US government gets their hands on your Bitcoin, that they'll be giving it back? They've already said that they have at least a 20-year plan, and they know that it's going to take around that amount of time, even at a modest compound annual growth rate, for them to be able to take care of their national debt, which is currently sitting at around $37 trillion. And so these big institutions and even governments now, we saw El Salvador in 2021, the first country on earth to essentially register Bitcoin as legal tender. These forward-thinking heads of institutions and governments, they understand what Bitcoin truly represents. They've done the work. They've spent the time actually studying it. And so it should be a signal to you and I and to everybody that we care about and love that we need to also put in the time. We need to do the work. We need to do the proof of work, which is what Bitcoin is built on. No Bitcoin is created without what's known as proof of work. And we have to understand that 95% of Bitcoin has already been mined. So this is not something that you're going to just be able to, take your time and gradually acquire over many, many years. We know that the supply, 95% of it's already out there. And we know that very quickly, before long, a lot of it's going to end up in the hands of institutions if people start parting with their Bitcoin. We know about 70 to 75% of the Bitcoin supply that's already been mined is actually in the hands of individuals, which is the way that Satoshi intended for Bitcoin to be. It's freedom money, it's the people's money, it's the people's opportunity to separate themselves from all of the systems of corruption and broken money and everything that happens at the big end of town. And we saw that in the global financial crisis. And so, there was a reason why Bitcoin came out on the back of the GFC. It was a gift to the world from Satoshi, a gift, a protocol that was offered to the world, and then he disappeared. And of course, it's evolved to what it has become today. But I believe that we're just at the beginning. And I really think that the more we start to realize that Bitcoin is truth, Bitcoin is the ultimate money, Bitcoin is the ultimate place to store our economic energy, our economic time and energy, which is represented by money in abstract form. This is the place to store our long-term value if we really care about not just protecting and preserving our wealth, but also if we care about self-sovereignty and we care about freedom as well. And so Bitcoin is the world's true first global free market, and it connects us in a global free market system that cannot be cheated. Bitcoin connects us in a global free market system that cannot be cheated. And so people like me and others, I'm just a drop in the ocean compared to some of these other Bitcoiners who are out there really advocating and teaching and educating people and shouting from the rooftops how important this is to get on board this life raft. But we are Bitcoin's marketing team. Bitcoin doesn't have ads on TV and billboards everywhere that is advertising the benefits to the masses of Bitcoin. All that we have is people like myself and others who are out there sharing and trying to, encourage people to get off their ass and actually start learning about what this represents, how it can transform your financial future, that of yourself and your family, why you need to get off zero. If you're sitting on zero Bitcoin, you need to get off zero. Acquire 0.01 of a Bitcoin, which is a million Satoshis. You know, it'll cost you about 850 odd US dollars. You have to get off zero. And if you're already off zero and well on your journey, just keep learning, keep encouraging people, keep sharing. And don't get discouraged if people around you think you're an idiot or dismiss it, don't want to listen. There's people in my family who are the same. But gradually what happens over time is they start to question certain things, and they start to notice some of the problems showing up in their own life of the control system, the control financial system, which the vast majority of people are still living in. But I believe that all of this is going to change as people start to realize what Bitcoin truly represents. There's going to be an enormous flight to Bitcoin like you would not believe. There's no doubt that the world and the powers that be are wanting to centralize more and more, and particularly the monetary system. We know that Europe is going to be bringing out its central bank digital currencies in October. They've already announced this, and it really is the beginnings of what many believe is going to be surveillance money for Europe. And, you know, if this starts to evolve, I think that we'll start to see this roll out in other countries throughout the world. It's already in China. There's a lot of hope being, I guess, placed on this current administration in the US, which is a very Bitcoin and even crypto friendly administration. There's a lot of hope being placed on the US right now that it is going to continue to be the beacon of freedom for the free world. And hopefully that will filter through to Australia. But like I've said before, I wouldn't be holding my breath. But you and I need to make choices at an individual level. We need to be around positive people. We need to expand our horizons. We need to think outside the box. We need to get on the life raft. If it's not Bitcoin, maybe it's something else. But I can't think of anything else that enables you to, I guess, expose yourself to some of the brightest minds on earth, to understand that you have an opportunity to escape the control system. Maybe not straight away, but over the course of time, you can at least see a pathway forward, and why Bitcoin represents that. The world is coming for Bitcoin. Institutions, governments, people, when people start to realize from the top down, from the wealthy top 5% to people in the middle, when really people start to wake up and realize that their wealth is being stolen through a broken monetary system, and that there is an opportunity over here called Bitcoin and what it actually truly really is and what it truly represents, you're going to see capital flow into Bitcoin that you never thought possible. And I believe that every price prediction that is sitting there on the table for the next 5 years and 10 years, there are many out there that believe that people are grossly underestimating where Bitcoin is going to be, because of the fact that we have about 900 trillion around the world in terms of global financial assets when you consider currencies, real estate, stocks, bonds, etc. And Jeff Booth was saying on a podcast he did with Mark Moss a couple of weeks ago, if that $900 trillion, if you divide that by 21 million Bitcoin, we know that Bitcoin is fixed cap, a hard cap at 21 million. If you divide 900 trillion by 21 million, you get $43 million per Bitcoin. $43 million per Bitcoin. Just get your head around that for a moment. I want you to ponder that today, what that actually means. And this is Jeff Booth really saying and going after the point that he harps on time and time again. And if you haven't tuned into Jeff Booth, I'd highly encourage you to do that. He is probably one of the smartest thought leaders in the Bitcoin space. Recently wrote a book called The Price of Tomorrow, which I've just downloaded and I will be next listening to on Audible. But you know, Jeff refers to Bitcoin as the world's truly first global free market. It's a free market because it is finite. It is a fixed monetary instrument that is actually repricing everything in the world. And it is an escape from the control system matrix, the debt-based financial control system that everybody is a part of. And it's very difficult to measure the value of Bitcoin when you're constantly immersed and sitting in the control system, in the debt-based control system. And even highly successful people, every day, they're chasing more and more and more and extracting value from the debt-based control system. They don't even realize it, that over here is the world's first truly global free market that is actually repricing everything within the control system. And so this is a thought thing, a process that I don't expect you to get straight away, but it just gets you starting to think in a different fashion in regards to Bitcoin and what it represents. And then it causes you to open little doorways and to start wandering through those doorways and learning more and more and more about the value proposition of Bitcoin, what's coming for Bitcoin in terms of number go up technology, in terms of its value proposition, what this could mean to your future wealth, how you can create multi-generational wealth. And then really, I guess it hammers home the point to you how important it is to just keep stacking sats, keep accumulating no matter what level you currently are at. And if you're on zero, you've got to get off zero, and you've got to do whatever it takes to get off zero as quickly as you can, and then to take your Bitcoin into self-custody, cold storage. So, I really wanted to kind of harp on that a bit today. I tuned into an interview yesterday, Jeff Booth and Mark Moss. You can watch it on YouTube. I'd highly encourage you to tune in and watch that if you haven't already. It was done about 14 days ago. Jeff Booth and Mark Moss, I believe it was on Mark Moss's Market Disruptors podcast. It goes for about 55 minutes to an hour, but it's just brilliant. Nuggets of gold like you would not believe when it comes to opening your mindset to what Bitcoin truly represents, where it's going, and how the world is coming for Bitcoin. So I want to leave it there today. Hope you got some value, hope you got some insight. I want to thank you for tuning in. Please leave me a comment. Always appreciate the comments. And please remember to give the video a like if you haven't already. And please subscribe if you would like to hear more from me in the future. I'm building this community, really enjoying it. And the more subscribers I get, the more I'm encouraged to just keep going with it. I want to thank you for tuning in. Have a great day. This is Zane signing out. I'll see you in the next one.